Chosen one, a private investigator has been following you, and what they uncovered is shocking. This investigator wasn't hired to target you. They were hired to expose the people who tried to break you. And that's not all. The investigator traced every hidden trail, financial records, buried documents, forgotten witnesses. They uncovered the entire scheme piece by piece. Your enemies stopped watching their backs. They thought their tracks were erased. They were wrong. The truth is awake, and so is your power. When you were young, someone who loved you made plans for your future. Big plans. Generational wealth type of plans. This family member, this person with nurturing energy, who saw something special in you, set aside resources that would have changed everything. Property, investment accounts, business interests, assets that would have made you wealthy by the time you reached adulthood. The kind of foundation that lets you make decisions based on passion instead of panic. The kind of security that gives you power to say no to anything that does not serve you. But you never saw any of it. You have been grinding, hustling, wondering why everyone else seems to catch breaks while you catch bills. You have been living month to month while certain family members have been living in luxury. And somewhere deep in your spirit you knew something was off. You knew the math was not adding up. You knew the story they told you about debts and unfortunate circumstances did not line up with the lifestyle you watched them living. Your instincts were right. The investigator found the original documents, the ones that had your name written all over them, the ones that designated you as a primary beneficiary, the ones that were supposed to transfer wealth that would have set you free. Then the investigator found the second set of documents, the fraudulent ones, the ones created by people who decided your inheritance belonged to them instead. One of them was silver-tongued, always knew what to say to seem trustworthy, could talk their way out of anything. The other was financially savvy, knew how to move money, how to create legal structures, how to make theft look legitimate on paper. These two formed a partnership. Together, they executed what they thought was the perfect crime. But here is where it gets interesting. Chosen one. The investigator did not stop at finding evidence of theft. They kept digging, because people who steal once do not stop at once. And what the investigator found underneath that initial crime was an empire built on darkness. The money they stole from you did not sit idle. They invested it. They built businesses with it. They created income streams that should have been yours. But the nature of these businesses is what made the investigator's blood run cold. Your inheritance was used to fund operations that exploited vulnerable people. The investigator found evidence of businesses that trapped individuals in situations where they had no choice, no agency, no escape. The specifics are dark, but the principle is clear. The wealth that was supposed to liberate you was weaponized to enslave others. One of them ran the operations. They maintained a respectable public image while running something underground that would shock anyone who knew the truth. The other handled the money, creating shell companies, moving funds between accounts, making dirty money look clean. They built an empire on stolen foundation, and that empire generated serious income. But every dollar came with blood on it. Every property they purchased represented someone else's exploitation. Every luxury vacation they took was funded by suffering they orchestrated. The investigator did not stumble onto this by accident. They followed the money with forensic precision. Every wire transfer, every cash deposit, every business registration, every property purchase. The financial forensics told a story these criminals thought they had hidden. What the investigator discovered is that your stolen inheritance was the seed capital for everything that came after. Without that initial theft, none of their operations would have been possible. Your money gave them the foundation to build their empire of exploitation, which means every victim they created, every person they hurt, every life they damaged can be traced back to what they stole from you. Think about that weight for a moment. Your inheritance, which was meant to create opportunity and freedom and generational blessing, was twisted into a tool for harm, the very opposite of its intended purpose. That is not just theft, that is desecration. That is taking something meant for good and perverting it into evil. But here is what they did not count on. The investigator found that some people who worked in these operations kept records, secret records, documentation of what they were forced to do, evidence of exploitation they witnessed, testimony they were saving for the day when someone finally asked the right questions. These witnesses came forward when the investigator started asking. People who had been waiting for someone to care. People who had been silenced or threatened or paid off. People who knew the truth and had been carrying it like a burden. The investigator gave them permission to speak, and chosen one they spoke volumes. The investigator documented everything: business registrations, property records, financial transactions that connected your stolen inheritance directly to operations that hurt people, paper trails that proved these were not separate issues. This was not a simple case of someone stealing money and living quietly. This was stolen wealth being actively used to create more victims. The investigator built a case that connects every crime back to the original theft. Your inheritance was the foundation. Everything else was built on it. Which means when this foundation is removed through legal action, everything collapses. Their entire empire was built on stolen ground, and stolen ground cannot support permanent structures. And then the investigator found something that elevated this from financial fraud to something far more serious. If you felt called by this message, hype this video so other chosen ones like you can be reached. The investigator noticed a pattern. People close to these criminals had a habit of dying under convenient circumstances, particularly people who knew too much, particularly people who stood between them and complete control of stolen wealth, particularly people who might have exposed what was really happening. At first each death looked natural: an elderly person in declining health, someone with pre-existing conditions, sad but expected, families grieved and moved on. But when you line up the timeline, when you map out who benefited financially, when you examine medical records against the official story, things do not add up. The investigator found evidence of systematic neglect, denying proper care, withholding medication, creating conditions where death became inevitable. For some victims there is evidence suggesting something more direct, something administered, something removed, something that actively hastened death rather than just allowing it. This was not one convenient death. This was multiple deaths, spread across time, all connected to the same two people, all resulting in financial gain, all clearing obstacles to complete control. One of those victims might have been the person who wanted to give you that inheritance in the first place. Think about that. The person who loved you enough to set aside generational wealth may have been eliminated by the same people who stole it. Their death was not just tragic, it was strategic. The investigator built a timeline that is devastating. Who had access to victims, financial transactions that occurred immediately before and after each death, witnesses who saw concerning behavior, medical evidence that contradicts official reports, all of it pointing to the same conclusion. These people did not just steal from you, they may have killed for it. And here is the detail that should terrify them in their sleep. The investigator found that you said something that triggered their paranoia, something that planted a seed in other people's minds, something that became the key that unraveled everything. You spoke the truth without even realizing how powerful it was. Maybe it was a comment at a family gathering. Maybe it was a question about finances that did not add up. Maybe it was a memory you shared about what your elderly relative said they wanted for your future. Whatever you said, it detonated like a bomb in their guilty minds. The investigator found evidence of their panic, frantic phone calls between the two criminals right after you left that event, emergency meetings to get their stories straight, conversations about damage control, plans to further destroy your credibility before you could destroy their lies. Your voice is dangerous because it carries truth frequency. Even when you do not have all the facts, when you speak from intuition, it resonates, it plants seeds, it creates cognitive dissonance in people who have been accepting false narratives. It opens doors to questions that lead to more questions that eventually lead to exposure. They have been losing sleep over your words. Those words echo in their minds like a curse they cannot break. They wonder who else you told. They wonder what else you know. They wonder if you are building a case or if you are just stumbling toward truth through spiritual discernment. Your casual observation became an investigative lead. Your innocent question became a doorway into financial records. Your memory of what was promised became corroboration for documentary evidence. You were not just speaking for yourself, you were speaking for every victim they ever created. You were the voice of collective justice, and they could not silence it no matter how hard they tried. The investigator used your words as a roadmap. Every comment you made pointed toward evidence. Every question you asked led to financial records that proved fraud. Every memory you shared matched original documentation that exposed their lies. But here is where the story accelerates. Because while the investigator was following your trail of breadcrumbs, these two criminals were following their own path to destruction. The partnership that seemed unbreakable is shattering. The investigator has documented phone calls where they are arguing about whose fault it is that the investigation started, whose idea the original theft was, who did the hands-on stealing versus who just went along with it, who ran the underground operations versus who just handled the money. One is claiming they were forced into it. Suddenly they are a victim too. They are creating a narrative where their partner manipulated and threatened them. They are trying to position themselves as someone who was just as exploited as you were. The audacity is almost impressive. The other is claiming ignorance. They did not know where the money really came from. They believed the lies about debts and reduced estate value. They were just following instructions. They are painting themselves as someone who was deceived rather than someone who orchestrated deception. Neither story holds up under scrutiny. The investigator has evidence of both of them actively planning the theft, both of them benefiting from stolen wealth, both of them working together to destroy your reputation, both of them involved in operations that exploited vulnerable people. But watching them destroy each other is poetry, because it proves something you already knew intuitively. There is no honor among thieves. People who betray family will betray each other the moment consequences arrive. Partnerships built on crime do not survive the heat of exposure. One of them was living beyond any reasonable means. The properties they owned were not just nice houses, these were estates, multiple properties across different locations, vacation homes that sat empty most of the year while you were counting pennies for rent, investment properties generating passive income that should have been building your wealth portfolio. The investigator documented every single asset. They photographed the luxury vehicles parked in driveways. They recorded the country club memberships. They tracked the private school tuitions and the designer wardrobes. They documented vacations to places you have only seen in magazines, all of it funded by what was taken from you. But here is the detail that makes it even more infuriating. While you were struggling, while you were working multiple jobs just to keep the lights on, while you were sacrificing and grinding and barely surviving, they were complaining. The investigator found social media posts where they talked about stress, where they performed exhaustion, where they acted like their privileged life was somehow difficult. The investigator captured them at restaurants where the bill for one meal would have covered your groceries for a month. They documented shopping trips where casual purchases exceeded what you make in a week. They recorded conversations at social events where these people bragged about investments and returns, never mentioning that the seed capital was stolen from family. What is particularly revealing is how they talked about you when they thought no one important was listening. The investigator managed to record conversations at family events where they made dismissive comments about your financial situation, where they joked about your struggles, where they performed concern while privately mocking your circumstances. They laughed about it. That is what the investigator heard. Actual laughter about how you were working so hard for so little, while they were reaping the benefits of your stolen inheritance. They found humor in your struggle. They entertained themselves with your pain. The investigator has this recorded. Their voices, their words, their complete lack of remorse captured digitally for everyone to hear. The investigator did not just build a case, they built an execution. The report contains financial records that trace every dollar of stolen money, property records showing assets that should be yours, business registrations for companies built with your inheritance, investment portfolios that grew from wealth that bore your name. But the investigator went deeper than just financial documentation. They documented the lifestyle these people were living, the cars they drove, The homes they owned, the vacations they took, the luxury goods they purchased, all of it funded by money that was stolen from you. The investigator calculated what your net worth should be right now if you had received your rightful inheritance and made conservative investments. The number is shocking. You should be wealthy, not comfortable, not stable, actually wealthy, with options, with freedom, with power to make choices based on vision instead of survival. Instead, you have been grinding while they have been thriving on your dime. You have been working jobs that drain you, while they have been living off investments that should be yours. You have been watching pennies while they have been spending thousands, and it was all stolen from you before you were old enough to stop them. The report documents the psychological warfare too, emails between the criminals discussing how to handle you if you asked questions, text messages strategizing what to tell family members, recorded conversations where they rehearsed lies about your character, proof of a coordinated campaign to destroy your reputation so no one would believe you if you challenged them. The investigator has evidence about the deaths, medical records that do not match official reports, timeline inconsistencies, financial transactions suspiciously close to death dates, witness testimony about neglect and concerning behavior, everything needed to prove these were not natural deaths. I must interrupt this transmission for just a moment. Are you really chosen? Prove it. It's easy to watch videos about chosen ones. It's another thing to put yourself to the test. If you're still here, that means something. But talk is cheap. Real chosen ones take action. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve divine justice. The beauty is you don't even have to lift a finger. You put on the headphones, press play, and watch your enemies choke on the rope their own lies created. If you're done consuming and ready to prove you're chosen, start your Destiny Engine for $1 today. Join the Obsidian Inner Order live checks and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. If this had been revealed when you were younger, it might have destroyed you. The weight of betrayal, the scope of what was stolen, the darkness of their crimes, it might have been too much. You might not have had the emotional resilience, you might not have had the spiritual foundation. But you are different now. You have been refined. You have developed strength through adversity. You have built character through surviving attacks on your destiny. Every closed door taught you lessons. Every financial struggle developed resourcefulness. Every betrayal showed you who people really are beneath their masks. While they were comfortable and soft, living off stolen wealth, you were developing survival skills they will never have. You learned how to make something from nothing. You learned how to find opportunity in impossibility. You learned how to keep going when every logical reason said quit. You developed grit, real grit, not the performed version they showed at dinner parties while complaining about minor inconveniences. Actual grit that comes from waking up every day, knowing the deck is stacked against you, and choosing to play anyway. That is power they cannot buy. That is strength they will never possess. You also develop discernment that only comes from being betrayed. You learn to read energy, to trust your gut, to see through polished exteriors to the rot beneath. You developed an internal compass that points toward truth even when everyone around you is invested in lies. That discernment is about to serve you powerfully as you navigate restoration. The struggle taught you the value of money in ways they will never understand. Every dollar you earned felt heavy because you worked so hard for it. You know what sacrifice tastes like. You know what it means to choose between bills. You know the weight of financial insecurity. And that knowledge means when wealth comes to you, you will not take it for granted. You will not waste it. You will not become them. Think about how they spent your money versus how you will steward it when it is returned. They bought status symbols. You will build foundations. They collected luxury items. You will create opportunities. They impressed strangers. You will impact generations. The difference is not just in how money is spent, it is in who you became through not having it. This timing means you are ready for what is being restored, because restoration without preparation is dangerous. People who suddenly receive wealth without character to handle it often lose it quickly. You are not going to be that person. You have been training for this your entire life without knowing it. The struggles were not wasted. They were preparation. Every job you worked, even the ones you hated, taught you something about business or people or yourself. Every financial crisis you navigated developed problem-solving skills. Every time you had to choose between competing necessities, you were learning prioritization. Every moment of lack was building gratitude for abundance. You also developed compassion they will never have. You know what it feels like to struggle. You understand what desperation tastes like. You have experienced the shame of not being able to afford things others take for granted. And that means when you receive restoration, you will remember. You will help others who are where you were. You will use resources to lift people up instead of stepping on them. But there is another element of timing that is crucial. You are mentally and emotionally ready for the battle that comes with exposure. When this goes fully public, there will be a battle. Family members will have to choose sides. Relationships will end. Comfortable lies will be challenged. And you are strong enough now to weather that storm. Look at what they could not take from you. They took your money, but they could not take your character. They stole your inheritance, but they could not steal your integrity. They blocked your financial progress, but they could not block your spiritual growth. They tried to destroy your reputation, but they could not destroy who you actually are. It is starting to go public now. Not everything at once. Truth like this does not explode in one moment. It leaks, it seeps, it spreads through whispered conversations and forwarded emails and phone calls where people ask what is happening with that family situation. Some people in your family circle are already aware that an investigation is happening. The investigator has contacted them. They have been asked to provide testimony about what they witnessed or heard or suspected. They have been shown evidence and asked to confirm whether it matches their memory of events. Reactions are mixed. Some people are shocked. They truly believed the criminals were good people who were just trying to help the family. They are experiencing cognitive dissonance as evidence contradicts everything they thought they knew. They are struggling to reconcile the respectable image with the revealed reality. Some people are not surprised at all. They always knew something was off. They had suspicions but did not know how to voice them or who would listen. They are feeling validated that their instincts were correct. They are also feeling guilty that they did not speak up sooner or do more to help you. Some people are defensive. They benefited from the criminals in some way. Maybe they received financial help that unknowingly came from stolen wealth. Maybe their reputation or business connections were enhanced by association. Maybe they just do not want to believe that people they respected are actually monsters. So they are defending the criminals, making excuses, suggesting the investigation is biased or motivated by jealousy. And some people are angry, specifically angry on your behalf. They are realizing what you lost. They are understanding how your entire life could have been different. They are seeing how you were systematically sabotaged while everyone was told you were the problem. They are ready to fight for justice, and they are becoming your advocates. The criminals are trying to control the narrative. They are making phone calls. They are sending messages. They are trying to get ahead of the story with their own version of events. They are portraying themselves as victims of a misunderstanding or a vendetta. They are suggesting that you are behind the investigation because you are bitter or greedy. But it is not working. Too much evidence is out there now. Too many people have seen the investigators' documentation. Too many witnesses have confirmed the truth. The story is getting away from them. The control they maintained for so long is slipping through their fingers. And through all of this, chosen one, you need to maintain your center. Do not get pulled into arguments with people who are determined to defend the indefensible. Do not try to convince anyone who is committed to not seeing the truth. Do not waste energy on people who have decided you are the villain despite all evidence to the contrary. Your validation does not come from humans. Your vindication does not require unanimous agreement. Your restoration does not depend on public opinion. It depends on evidence and divine timing, both of which are now aligned perfectly in your favor. Money is about to move in your direction. Not just what was stolen. though that is part of it, but also compensation for time lost, restitution for damage done, repayment for psychological harm, interest on stolen wealth that grew in accounts you should have controlled. Legal mechanisms are being put in place to recover assets. Accountants are calculating what you are owed. Attorneys are filing paperwork. Judges are reviewing evidence. The system is slowly grinding toward justice, and justice in this case means restoring to you what was taken, but chosen one. This is where your preparation matters most. Sudden wealth after years of struggle can be destabilizing if you are not ready. People lose windfalls quickly when they have not developed the character and wisdom to handle them. You are not going to be that person because you have been training for this without knowing it. First, protect your peace during this process. Legal proceedings take time. There will be delays and appeals and motions and counter-motions. Do not let the slowness of justice steal your joy or consume your mental energy. What is yours is yours. The timing is already set. Your job is to stay grounded and prepared. Second, get wise counsel. Find financial advisors who have your best interests at heart. Find attorneys who understand both the legal complexity and the emotional weight of family betrayal cases. Find therapists or counselors who can help you process years of manipulation and abuse. Find spiritual advisors who can help you steward blessing without worshipping it. Third, make plans for what restoration will enable you to do, not just for yourself but for the legacy you are building. You are about to have options you have never had. The ability to invest in dreams you have had to defer. The freedom to make choices based on vision rather than desperation. The resources to create opportunities for others who are struggling like you have struggled. This restoration is not just about correcting a past wrong. It is about positioning you for the future you were always meant to have, the career you were meant to build, the impact you were meant to make, the generational shift you were meant to initiate. The wealth coming to you is not just dollars. It is access to rooms you have been excluded from. It is credibility that opens doors. It is freedom to take risks without fear of losing everything. It is the ability to say no to anything that does not align with your purpose. It is margin to breathe and think and create without the constant pressure of survival mode. You are going to see acceleration. Things that have been stuck for years are suddenly going to move. Opportunities that seemed impossible are going to present themselves. People who doubted you are going to have to eat their words. Doors that were closed are going to swing open. Resources are going to flow in ways that feel almost surreal after so much lack. You do not break. You do not stay down. You do not let theft of resources become theft of destiny. You adapt. You evolve. You become dangerous. While they were living off your money, you were developing skills money cannot buy. While they were comfortable, you were becoming resilient. While they were soft, you were becoming steel. They thought they were winning. They were actually creating their own destruction. Because now you are about to receive resources with wisdom they never developed. You are about to have wealth with character they never built. You are about to step into power with integrity they never maintained. And that combination is unstoppable. They are about to watch you accomplish in a few years what took them so long to accomplish through crime. They are about to see you build an empire on legitimate foundation while theirs crumbles on stolen ground. They are about to witness you create legacy while they become a cautionary tale. And here is the power move they never saw coming. You are not bitter. You could be. You have every right to be consumed with rage and revenge. But you are not, because you understand something they never will. Bitterness is another form of prison. Revenge is just another way they control your energy. You are not giving them that power. You are going to receive your restoration with grace, not because they deserve your grace, but because you deserve your peace. You are going to steward wealth with wisdom, not to prove anything to them, but because you know the responsibility that comes with resources. They are going to watch you receive financial restitution while they are losing everything. They are going to see you move into security while they are facing legal consequences. They are going to witness you building legacy while they are explaining their crimes to investigators. And the most powerful part, you do not have to do anything except exist in your truth and receive what is rightfully yours. When you receive wealth, you will remember what poverty felt like. You will remember the shame of not being able to afford necessities. You will remember the weight of financial insecurity, and you will use that memory to inform how you treat others who are struggling. When you gain access to rooms and spaces you were previously excluded from, you will not forget where you came from. You will not suddenly develop amnesia about struggle. You will not become one of those people who made it and then look down on everyone still climbing. You will reach back. You will create opportunities. You will build tables instead of just securing your own seat. When you have the power to help or hurt people, you will choose help every single time, because you know what it feels like to be hurt by people who had power. You know the damage that casual cruelty causes. You know how much it costs to trust again after being betrayed by family. And you will not inflict that pain on others. You are going to hire people who remind you of yourself, people who are overlooked, people who are underestimated, people who are struggling but strong, people who just need one person to believe in them. You will be that person. You will be the opportunity you wished someone had given you. You are going to invest in causes that matter, not for tax breaks or social media clout, but because you actually care, because you have felt the impact of exploitation and you want to fund prevention, because you have experienced what it is like when no one helps and you want to be the help someone needed. The investigator followed you and found someone worth fighting for, someone who survived impossible odds, someone who kept their humanity despite being treated inhumanely, someone whose story deserved to be told and whose rights deserved to be fought for. What shocked the investigator was that you are still standing after everything that was done to you, every attack on your destiny, every theft of your resources, every manipulation of your reputation. You are still here, still fighting, still believing, still knowing deep in your spirit that you were meant for more. That is the mark of a chosen one. That is the evidence of divine protection. That is the proof that some people cannot be broken no matter how hard others try. The walls are closing in on them now. Evidence is mounting. Truth is surfacing. Justice is moving. And you are about to witness the vindication you have been praying for, hoping for, believing for, even when it seemed impossible. They thought they could stop you. They were wrong. They thought they could steal your destiny. They only delayed it. They thought they could break you. They only made you stronger. They thought they were clever. They were just buying time until justice arrived. Everything they meant for evil is being turned for your good. Everything they stole is being returned with interest. Everything they destroyed is being rebuilt stronger. Everything they thought they got away with is becoming evidence that destroys them. You survived the valley. You outlasted their schemes. You maintained your integrity when corruption would have been easier. You kept faith when everything said give up. And now you are stepping into the abundant life that was always your birthright. The investigator's report is complete. The evidence is clear. The truth is out. Justice is coming for everyone involved. Your name is about to be cleared. Your inheritance is about to be restored. Your destiny is about to unfold in ways that make up for every year they tried to steal from you. Walk into this new season with your head high and your heart clean. Receive your vindication with grace and wisdom. Steward your restoration with purpose and integrity. Show them what a chosen one looks like when finally receiving what was always theirs. You made it, against all odds, through impossible circumstances, despite systematic betrayal. You made it, and everything that is coming to you now is not just restoration. It is divine compensation for every tear, every struggle, every moment you wondered if you would survive. The wait is over. The breakthrough is here. Your time has come. This is your story. This is your victory. This is your proof that chosen ones do not stay down forever. This is your evidence that divine justice always arrives exactly on time. Welcome home to the destiny that was always yours. The investigator followed you, and what they found was a chosen one who refused to be destroyed, a warrior who kept fighting, an heir who never forgot being royalty, even when circumstances said otherwise. That is who you are. That is who you have always been. And now the whole world is about to see it. Your enemies thought they were burying you. They did not know they were planting you. Welcome to harvest season, chosen one. Everything they stole is about to multiply in your hands. This is your time. This is your vindication. This is your victory, and nobody can take it from you ever again.